And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports Tuesday afternoon Rugby News Live. And for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we are going to be talking about everything happening in the rugby world, which is quite a lot actually at the moment. And unfortunately for South Africans, not too much URC action to look forward to. However, the Currie Cup does get underway this weekend. We'll look at a couple of fixtures and speak a little bit about the Currie Cup as well in terms of the future of the competition and what it is really, and what kind of sort of role it's going to play in our rugby pipeline. We were talking about Currie Arendse renewing his contract with the Bulls and making sure that his post-World Cup career will continue within South Africa. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the Don Plumtree sort of rumors, which are really starting to hot up towards the Sharks. We spoke a little bit about it yesterday. In fact, I feel like I kind of got the run on it really, because we spoke about it in the show, and then sort of about 3 or 4 hours later, all the sort of the stories started popping up. So it was quite cool to sort of get there quite early. Yeah, we will talk, as I said, the Currie Cup. We'll talk a lot about John Dobbs has been talking a little bit about significance of the Currie Cup. We'll talk a little bit about the Six Nations, which returns this weekend, and yeah, man, have any sort of any sort of questions you guys would like to ask, then put them in the chat, and we can discuss those as well. So yeah, I've never really used the Q&A feature, so I'm just gonna say ask any questions. I don't know actually how this Q&A works, to be honest. So I'm just gonna throw it up there. Might as well try it now. But yeah, let's start with Currie Arendse, shall we? And a bit of a weird morning, because the news was only supposed to come out at 5 o'clock today. So I did get an email from the Bulls this morning to say that he has renewed a new contract. The news was only supposed to be broken at 5 o'clock. And then a couple of news agencies ran it anyway. And they then have sort of escalated the timing. But very good news for the Bulls. And he has signed a new contract. He has continued. So his contract will run for another further 3 years and runs until June 2026. So you one imagine it's probably another year renewal potentially up for grabs there to take him through to the 2027 World Cup. But at this stage, no worries for the Bulls. He will be staying here for the next 3 seasons. If not, they'll be getting a big transfer fee. He's 26 years old, which means that he'll be about 29 when his contract will come to an end. So still be pretty young, to be honest. So it's a very good signing there for the Bulls to make. So if you look at and looking at some of the press release and some of the sort of the stats for him at the moment, he joined the Bulls at the end of 2020. He received his so he was formerly a Blitzbach. He received his maiden Springbok call up in the July 22. He's played 7 matches so far, and he's got multiple World Series tournament victories, a Super Rugby Unlocked and Currie Cup win medal, and one of the major players within the URC side. Blue Bulls company chief executive Edgar Rathbone said the following about the renewal. We are extremely proud of the incredible work that Currie has put in his time here in Pretoria. In such a short space, he's become an integral part of our roster and a fan favorite for all those who frequent Loftus for entertaining rugby. Well, you know, I think in terms of entertaining rugby, that's been a little bit on the down low, a little bit on the short supply as of late. He says, we are grateful that he worked with us to ensure that his extension was a possibility because he is an internationally acclaimed rugby star, so naturally we had to fend off numerous interests vying for his signature, both local and abroad. To have him commit to a further 3 seasons is a big plus for us as an organisation and cements our home as the place for all international stars. We have the confidence in the world that he will continue to add value to what we offer, and in turn, we will continue to develop to help him develop into this rugby star that he is destined to be. We wish him more success, and of course, we'll be alongside him throughout the journey. And then spoke a little, and Jake White then spoke about the importance of signing down his best players to long-term contracts. Jake said that one of the things I'm fortunate about is that I have a long-term deal with the Vodacom Bulls and I have a lot of players who have committed to long deals too. So to have Currie join the likes of Kane and Moody and Jan Goosen and a very long list of great players who committed their time to this work we are doing here is fantastic. Albert Lowe, also somebody who's got a very much a long-term contract with the side of Kia as well. Currie is a brilliant player with the ability to change the game, finding ways to create something out of moments of need, and this is the reason why he's a Springbok. It is great for him to stay with us for a longer term, and it's fantastic news for rugby fans across South Africa. Yeah, I do think it's a very good I do think that it's a huge moment, not only for the Bulls, but also for Currie Arendse. I think that again, I think we spoke about the fact that it might take a while for players start coming back to South Africa, but the move up north might help us to keep players here. Now, it is certainly helping us to a certain degree, but there's also obviously the inevitable losses that we are going to get. I'm just going to put my fan on; it's very hot in here. So yeah, I mean, so what we are seeing is we are definitely seeing a lot more players choosing to stay, and alongside with players who have come back. So, for example, if we look at some of our young players now, I think that obviously we are always going to lose players sort of in the older generation. Players coming towards the end of their career, players in their 30s will be looking for that sort of final paycheck, and that we'll inevitably lose those. But what is really good is to see that we are holding on to a lot of our youngsters. So, Ulrich Lowe, long-term contract at the Bulls. Caden Moody, long-term contract at the Bulls. Currie Arendse, long-term contract at the Bulls. Those are Ruan Nokia, long-term contract at the Bulls. Those are 4 players who are all going to play many a game for the Springboks in the coming years, who have all committed to staying within South Africa. If we look at the Stormers, for example, Evan Ruiz has signed a long-term contract. Damien Willemse has a long-term contract. The Sharks have obviously also offered quite a few long-term contracts. Although I'll be interested to see what happens to the Sharks in the next couple of years, because I think that if they don't start to really sort of turn things around, then they might see a bit of a mini exodus. They might have to have a bit of a rethink of their sort of recruitment strategy if it's not working. But I think it's really good to see that the Bulls, especially, are sort of leading the charge in terms of keeping players in the country, in terms of solidifying their long-term sort of future by making sure their best sort of players are staying at the union. And obviously that helps a lot. It's the thing is, signing your best players down to long-term contracts is so much more than just keeping that player. It's about affirmation in the union. It's about a vote of confidence in the management. You've got players like Currie Arendse who would walk into the top 14 tomorrow and pick a side and they'll all try and sign him. Caden Moody as well. A lot of people going, hello, that's a future star. Let's see if we can get in there. So what this also means, it means if you're looking at other players, who are looking to come into a team, if there are, the star players who are choosing to recommit, that's a good sign. If you're thinking about going to the Bulls and everyone's leaving, you're going, or why is everybody leaving? So, for example, that's probably one of the biggest challenges towards the Lions right now is the fact that, well, no one's staying. Nobody wants to hang around. Why don't they want to hang around? Do they not trust the system? Do they not trust the coaches? Is it not a nice environment to be in? Whereas if you see an environment where players are continuously committing themselves to staying there, they're getting results on the field and things are going well, that makes it a lot more, it's a lot easier to bring in new players as well as to continue developing the younger players who will then sort of recommit to the union. You're sitting there going, are we on the right track here? And the player next to you who's a Springbok says, yeah, of course we are. That's why I'm staying here. Why wouldn't you stay? So as I said, these sort of signings are so much more than just keeping hold of that player. It's about the message it sends that they've got a vote of confidence in you. They believe what they're doing at the union and the side is the right thing, and therefore others might. So it's a really good moment for the Bulls and a very big signing for them in multiple sort of facets. It's not just a case of, oh, cool, well, Currie Arendse is going to be here for a couple more years. It's about their best players believing in the Bull structures, believing in Jake White's vision and being willing to commit to it and be part of the journey. It's a very good deal. And at the end of the day, you look at those, the fact Spoon, Corsi, Kane and Moody, Currie Arendse, that's your back three right now for the Bulls. And it's a tremendous back three. And that's before you add the likes of a Jan Kussen if he's going to start playing fullback when he comes back, or once he has some Lani's who have played a little bit of fullback. David Creel's been playing a lot of fullback. They've got some very good wings anyway. So, I think that the Bulls are doing very well to tie down their main sort of stars. The next question is how can they sort of complement these stars, bring in the right players to really get the best out of them. Some of the comments, MC saying, hope Scotland to bring Ireland down to earth this weekend. Irish media unbearable. Yeah, I'm really hoping to see a good match there. Paul saying, really great that we have an essay. Agree. Dave Moever saying, did you see the news about Bulls showing interest in signing Jaden Henderson? Jokes just wanted to troll a Lions fan up Saturday. Well, Jaden's at the Sharks, so if it was Jordan, I'd be upset. But Yes, I know what you mean, but don't stress. Jordan Henderson's not going anywhere just yet. Probably another season with us, and then he'll probably be on the move. But right now, he's actually injured and out for the season, so it doesn't make much of a difference, to be perfectly honest. Let's talk about the Currie Cup, shall we? Because it gets underway this weekend. Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, is the first Currie Cup fixture of the season, as the Windhoek Draft Griquas take on the Cheetahs in Kimberley. On Saturday, we then got the Sharks taking on the Griffins. At help us through, you've got the Lions taking on the Western Province in what is probably the game of the weekend, alongside the Bulls versus the Pumas at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So 2 very interesting games there. The Griffins are obviously new to the division. They won the first division last season and have come up to the Premier Division. And Pumas, the current reigning champions. So they'll be looking to try and potentially go back to back. Now, the Currie Cup's an interesting one, isn't it? Because a lot of people are saying that the Currie Cup holds no value in SA Rugby, which I think is a little bit of an overreaction. Is the Currie Cup what it used to be? No, probably not. Is it what we would all like it to be? Maybe not as well. But does it still play a very important role in the pipeline of South African rugby? Most definitely. Because what we are seeing is more opportunities for more players across the country to showcase their ability to get into then your bigger franchises. And there's a pathway to becoming a Springbok by going to these sides, getting picked up by bigger sides, and moving into the Springboks. And if it's working, if we're producing any Springboks coming from the Currie Cup, then isn't that worth a shout? Isn't that worth backing? So, I think at the end of the day, things progress, things change. We saw, for example, football moving into the professional era in the 90s, and that was a massive big step. Rugby's also moved into the professional era. The establishment of franchises, of unions. Moving away from just the union structure, instead of having Northern Transvaal and stuff, we now have the Lions, we have the Bulls, we've got these franchises. And I think this is the next step in terms of the commercialization of rugby, is for the Currie Cup to unfortunately have to take a back seat. It was the premier SA competition for many a year alongside Super Rugby. But unfortunately now, with the change of moving up north, the change of schedule, stuff like that, it now runs concurrently with the URC, with the Champions Cup, and as a result, it is semi-watered down. Now, for me, it's only as watered down as you kind of want it to be, because I think we're not also talking about, in the same breath, the last 2 years, there's been a lot of regulations change regards to the squad size of our main side. But that's always the issue, isn't it? Everybody sort of says the Currie Cup is watered down because the Sharks, Lions, Bulls, and Western Province, and to a point, the Cheetahs, maybe now with the EPCO as well, are not playing their best sides. And therefore, it has become a bit of a junior tournament. However, your Pumas and Griquas and your Griffins and your, I think Cheetahs will be able to play their best sides most of the tournament. So we're only talking about 4 teams, which is literally half the teams in the competition, having to play weaker sides. But at the same time, what we have seen is certain unions have gone. So, for example, last year the Lions went, no, it's going to be an under 20 group, it's going to be a young group. They're going to play the Currie Cup for the experience. They're going to hammer it. The Bulls, on the other hand, played pretty strong sides across the Currie Cup and really sort of backed a lot of their stars. They use it as a way for players to come back from injury. They use it as to give other players game time. We weren't giving enough game time. So for me, the Currie Cup can become an incredibly useful tool within your system if you get it right. Now, John Dobson was asked about the Currie Cup. On Monday, John Dobson said that he wasn't too worried about navigating fixture clashes. He says the Leinster game is on a Friday and the Currie Cup match is only on Sunday. So we will use one of the coaches that aren't traveling to Leinster with us to work with the team during the week, but we will still be able to attend the game. So this is interesting. First of all, the fact that some people have got 2 different coaching staffs, for example. I think the Sharks have got Joe Mangala heading up their Currie Cup side, and the Bulls have also got a Currie Cup coaching staff. The Stormers, on the other hand, or Western Province, have said no. They will also they might actually expand the coach staff a little bit, and they'll all chip in to coach the Western Province side. So this is what he had to say. He said, "What we promised the team is that sense of belonging, and I don't think it is right to outsource them to other coaches. There are some great coaches in the system, but we really want to get to know the players better and give them the exact same service levels as the URC team." And he said the Currie Cup is still important to the Cape. He said, with what we are trying to do, if we do face a URC-based Lions team, it's actually brilliant because some of these guys, almost all of them, have played URC for us. We want to give them more high-level rugby, and at Ellis Park, it will be a great experience. We are genuinely excited about this campaign. That's how we give these guys more opportunity and create the depth that we have here at Western Province. That's the attitude to have. I really think that, and I think there's a big difference from a psyche perspective between the likes of a John Dobson versus Jake White. Jake White's been very, traditional about things, and said that he thinks that the Currie Cup's lost all its name, and he said I'm not even sure what we should be calling it, and he's very sad that it's become a glorified junior competition and stuff like that. So that's sort of where Jake White is coming from. John Dobson, on the other hand, is like, right, okay, so the Currie Cup's here. How can we make this work? What can we get from this? And this is exactly it. They're now to have bigger squads. These URC sides now are squads of 45 to 47 players, and you can only play 23 during the weekend. So almost half your squad is not playing on a weekly basis. Now, yes, there are lots of injuries, for example, and that's why you can have this big extended squad. But how perfect is it to have the Currie Cup running at this time, where you can then say, right, this player's struggling, needs a bit of confidence, go and play for the Currie Cup. At the same time, you've got players of the Currie Cup who are bashing the door down saying, I can be in the URC team. So for me, it's a perfect opportunity, if you can really get it right, to build genuine depth. And I think that's what the Western Province are trying to do. They're going to try and build genuine depth by using the Currie Cup as a feeder to the URC team. And I think that that's a really good attitude to have. At the end of the day, you can complain about it, you might not like it, but you've got to see the opportunity. You've got to see what it can present to you and what it can mean for you. And what it does mean is an opportunity to really sort of build that squad and showcase all the talent that you've got. And also help identify at the end of the day. We're now, as we sort of head to the business end of the URC, there's always sort of that one eye on the next season, which means that recruitment right now is very important. So if you're busy playing and you're sitting there going, I'm a little bit worried about inside centre stocks, for example, and you then got Currie Cup happening as well, and you're then sitting there going, well, no one in the Currie Cup's really sort of putting their hand up, then you can sit there saying, right, now we have to go look elsewhere. However, there can be certain positions which you're thinking, right, we need a couple of players, but then in the Currie Cup, those players are really putting their hands up, and you say, right, let's see if they can do it in URC, and they can. And then you sit there saying, fantastic. So we've got depth there. So for me, I think it's a really nice sort of asset test to see what sort of where players are, where squads are, and gives you a lot of information and data. So when you go into the all-season, you're very aware of what you have in your squad and what you don't have in your squad, what you need, what you don't need, and how you can sort of really succeed on both fronts. So Daniel Herber saying it would be nice to see Marks, Mostert, Kwaka, Faf, and Skosan, etc. return to the Lions. Someone like Swayze return as head coach, even a guy like Jimmy Stonehouse. Sean Farrell says, I don't believe the Irish media as an Irish fan. I don't believe the hype. I agree too. So no surprise there. Bulls are just too good for Currie to leave. Sean Farrell says, you heard Osprey on talks to the merge with Ealing from the English Championship. Yeah, I did see that yesterday. Lots of people, fans, very upset about that sort of news. I agree, saying, I'm not just better than everyone else. Springboks are nowhere at the moment. I mean, I'm not sure about nowhere, considering that we almost beat Ireland and should have beaten France. Tian says, thought Navuka had a good game despite the loss on Saturday. Currie Cup still working to unveil young talent. 100%. And I think that we also saw a great Currie Cup story last year when the Pumas won it. And if you're going to try and tell any of those Pumas players that it doesn't count, I can tell you right now, they're not going to accept that, and they're not going to be particularly impressed with that chat. At the end of the day, those Pumas players are Currie Cup winners. And awesome for them. And some of those Pumas players, Billy Engelbrecht, for example, captained the side to the Currie Cup, and now he's at the Stormers playing URC rugby. Putting himself in the prospect for potential block call up and stuff like that. That's what it can mean to some of these players and stuff. So yeah, I think that we've got to take a really pragmatic approach towards the Currie Cup. I understand that it might not be what we want it to be, it might not be what it was, but this is what it could be. And really sort of focus on what it can be and how we can still make it a really good product. The Varsity Cup is a fantastic product. Let's make the Currie Cup a fantastic product. And that's the big thing, isn't it? It's about how do we get it right? How do we make the Currie Cup exciting? How do we bring in fans? Now, for me, we should be taking the Currie Cup to the people. So the Lions versus the Western Province should not be at Ellis Park this weekend. At all. Go and play that game at the Wits Stadium. Go play that at the Union Stadium. Go play that at a local club stadium. For me, the Currie Cup, if you want to really reinvigorate the Currie Cup, take it different places. Have double headers. Go and say, right, we're going to have Sharks versus Griffins as well as Lions versus, or Bulls and Lions are both at home this weekend. So go and say, right, we can have it at Loftus, but it's going to be Lions versus Western Province, followed by the Bulls versus Pumas. Have a bit of extravaganza. We need to start innovating. I think that's my frustration, is that I think SA Rugby don't innovate enough with our local competitions. I think the URC is a very cool product. and very big credit to the URC team who have sort of created that. But look at the Varsity Cup and how they can fill stadiums. And again, a lot of it's but it's vast students and there's rivalry and that does it all for them. That's nonsense. Yes, there's rivalry and you've got a big bank of supporters there waiting to be used, but you still have to create a product that they want to come and see. The Varsity Cup is going for what, almost 15 years now, and it continues to just get better and better. It continues to draw crowds. It continues to really be a shining light in South African rugby, and even the Varsity Shield now. I mean, we're talking about a second division varsity tournament, bringing in big crowds. So why can we not do that with Currie Cup? And people sitting there, and somebody the other day, I think on a stream, said that there's no demand for, there's no hunger for live sport, and that is the biggest load of nonsense. Because I've been to I was at the SA20, for example, and I've seen Loftus with 40,000 people there. There is a big hunger for live sports in this country, but it needs to be accessible, it needs to be affordable, and it needs to be fun. And the Currie Cup right now, I don't think are sitting in a room going, how do we achieve those three things? How do we go and find 10,000 people to watch the Sharks versus the Griffins? How do we do that? And yes, the quality of players is always going to play a part. People don't go watch the Varsity Cup because of the players there, to be brutally honest. They go there because of the product. So create the product, market the product. I mean, it's a week. It starts this week, and we've barely heard a peep from it. That, for example, is one of the massive reasons why it's failing. Where's the hype? Where's the promotion? How are we not being just shoved Currie Cup stuff down our throats, being shown like, this is what, I've barely seen any adverts on Supersport and stuff like that. We need to see far more being done to promote the Currie Cup if we wanted to remain relevant in this country. It can still be a really cool competition, even with watered down teams, even with juniors taking it. It can still be a quality. I mean, people go and watch the under-20s, for example, when the junior Springboks play. People like to go watch them. School sport, there are thousands of people. So how is it that at Varsity Cup there are big crowds? At schoolboy rugby there are big crowds. URC there are reasonable crowds at some stadiums. At junior Springboks, when they play, there's often good crowds. And yet, when it comes to the Currie Cup, we can't fill crowds. And I think it's got everything to do with the various products being sold. Supersport schools, for example, has really tapped into that school sport psyche, mentality, rivalry, and the crowd is starting to reflect that. And it's not just been Supersport schools. I'm just saying that they had an existing database of people and an existing product that was doing quite well, and then said, right, let's take it to the next level. Now that's my frustration, is I don't think we've ever seen the Currie Cup go and say, right, let's take it to the next level. How do we take it to the next level? Imagine you're now entering the school sports season. Imagine you go and say, right, okay, so we're gonna see, there's a big rugby day happening at a certain school. So let's say maybe, I don't know, Kez is hosting Kez is hosting Monument. Kez is playing against Monument, for example, or the other way around. We've got a really cool big fixture. Okay, so and the first in game starts at 2. Why not play a Currie Cup game there at 4? Imagine going and watching a really cool rugby game, schoolboy rugby game, as a curtain raiser to a genuine Currie Cup game. You've already got the people there. You could already have 5,000-6,000 people there, and then say, right, go there. And people will sit there saying, oh, quality of field, quality of changes, blah. You know what? At the end of the day, we want the Currie Cup to be the best it can be. Supersport schools will already be there, for example. We already have teams there. Imagine schoolboys knowing that they're about to play a match just before Springboks could be playing. And imagine, as John Dobson said, he wants to sort of split the squads. Imagine Damien Willemsen needs a game and he's playing at Paarl. Back there. There's so many ways I think this Currie Cup, with a bit of innovation, could be a really big success. And I understand that there's obviously a lot of issues with sponsorship, for example, Emirates Airline Park, Hollywood Kings Park, Vintage Draft Park, So there is obviously that commitment to a lot of sponsors and stuff like that. And there's no doubt about the, also if you look at the ticket revenue and stuff like that, and the what the teams and unions make out of ticket sales. But I just think that if you were to sacrifice a season and take it to the people, build this product, they would then come back to you. Because at the moment it's just not working. I mean, at this stage, Lions versus Western Province on Saturday. What would be a good crowd? 5,000 people. You get 5,000 people at Wits Stadium, and it will be a better atmosphere because it's smaller, closer, more condensed. So I think there's a lot of things that they could do with the Currie Cup, but they're just not willing to do. And it's frustrating, isn't it? Some of the comments saying Alpha Lingus says go cheaters, bring it to the people. I agree, saying even I agree. Ireland miles ahead of Springboks. Springboks need to select more bulls. Yeah. Okay, cool. I was just trolling now. Alpha Lingus says SAO World Champs and beat the B Lions. So nothing wrong with Box. Part of his marketing and sponsor of Currie Cup, 100%. And I think that's again, if I'm a sponsor, if I was a headline sponsor, if I was a Castle or it was Carling Black Label Currie Cup. No, I don't even think it's got a sponsor this year. Yeah, I don't think they've got a sponsor. It's a Premier Division. So I was a sponsor, and I was saying, right, so if I'm calling Black Label or I'm Castle Light, and I'm saying, right, I'm interested in sponsoring the Currie Cup, but it's got to change. Like at the moment, your product's crap. This is why I'm not going to sponsor it. But let's talk about this. Now it becomes difficult going and saying, right, as Black Label or as Castle, we're going to go and have these games at schools, for example. But it doesn't always necessarily have to be a booze brand, for example. But then you can look at the varsities and sit there and say, right, well, let's have the Western Province play at the Donny Craven Stadium this season for the Currie Cup. Why not? Or at least a couple of games. As I said, go to Bit Stadium. Bulls could be playing out of the Tuck Stadium, the TUT Stadium, for example. Sharks could be playing out of UKZN. They could be playing out, Cheetahs could be playing out of Corpses or CUT. So just try things. That's for me. And maybe it does fail. Maybe it does fail. Maybe it really doesn't work. Who knows? Maybe I'm completely off the mark. But at the end of the day, just copy and pasting and spitting out the same format, the same competition, the same teams with zero marketing, zero innovation, and zero thought. It's no wonder that it's just not working. So that's just my 2 cents. Yeah, I'm still very frustrated at what the Currie Cup could be because I still think it could be a really cool product. But they're just not willing to try different things to make it exciting. Before we wrap up, also, by the way, there are some more bigger rumors about John Plumtree getting a potential contract at the Sharks, which would be a fantastic move. Obviously, he was coaching there for quite a while. We go back many a year ago. He's now currently without a job after leaving New Zealand. And I think the Sharks forwards in particular have been a bit of a letdown this season. And I think someone like him coming in as forward coach could very much be a potential key to unlocking all those players. So we'll monitor that one quite closely. But I do think that could be a very, very interesting prospect to get the struggling Sharks side back onto the sort of the straight and narrow and really starting to play at the level that we kind of expecting them to do at the moment, but just aren't. So we'll also monitor what's going on there. But so to wrap up, Currie Cup starting this weekend. Currently Arendse, new contract with the Bulls till 2026. John Plumtree rumoured back to the Sharks. And no URC action. In terms of the Six Nations, very exciting weekend this weekend. We've got Ireland taking on Scotland, and you do kind of feel this is Ireland's biggest challenge potentially. They do still then play England in the final game, but given the way things are staying, I think an away game, Scotland at Murrayfield on Sunday at 5 o'clock could be a pretty Six Nations defining match. We then got Italy taking on Wales at 4:15. I'll be live with you for that one, as well as England versus France, which should also be quite a cool game. So plenty of action this weekend. We will be doing some watch-alongs for the Currie Cup. If they're not going to do innovation and they're not going to try and make it big, then we'll do it ourselves, shan't we? We'll try and put some big watch-alongs in. We'll try and see how we can cover it and try and make the tournament a bit better. It's all the best, or at least we can do for SA Rugby. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. I will see you guys all the rugby fans on Thursday for the Rugby Fan Forum. We will be live in an hour's time. For a live cricket show, followed by a live football show as well. It's sort of a couple of that news happening there. Proteas taking on the West Indies starting tomorrow. They have announced a new team for which will take place tomorrow, which is a very interesting side. So very keen to see what will happen there. I'll see you guys soon.